I shared a TikTok a while ago that went a little bit viral, and it made me realize just how very common this actually is. The TikTok said, "I've spent my whole life making sure everyone around me is comfortable, only to realize that I wasn't comfortable at all." Hi, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Joey. I am a full-time work-from-home, stay-at-home mom, an author, and the person who's here to encourage you to become the main character in your own life. I've shared content like this in the past. In fact, a piece of advice I would often give to my coaching clients back when I used to coach was to stop disappointing yourself in favor of pleasing someone else. The problem so many of us seem to have with this principle is that we don't want to come across as selfish, or if you really dig further into the root of it, because I've discovered that this is much more of a common theme than you might think, is that we don't want to be selfish. The people who struggle most with this concept, with people pleasing or routinely disappointing ourselves in favor of pleasing someone else, are typically good-hearted people. Your heart is good and pure and giving and generous, and it seems we can't quite untangle from that desire to be good to others to show ourselves that same kindness. So I'm going to shatter that reality a little bit for you. Doing something that you don't want to do with a heart full of resentment in order to make someone else happy doesn't actually make you a good person. It makes you disingenuous. I've sat exactly where you're sitting right now, holding firm to that belief that under no circumstances is doing something good for someone else the wrong thing to do. I mean, how could it be? And I've definitely struggled in the past with how best to articulate this, because I like black and white. I like right and wrong. I like clear boundaries, and I like knowing exacts. And luckily, I had a therapist who made this very clear for me and very black and white for me. You should never have to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. So how can you break the habit of people pleasing? The very first thing and the core of what you need to do is you need to establish healthy self-respect and confidence. Often, part of our people-pleasing tendencies come from a sense of insecurity. We end up getting so wrapped up in worrying about what other people think, even people that you may not respect or even like, and we, for certain, place a higher value on what they think of us than what we think of ourselves. We make decisions based solely on how others will perceive us, never ever once considering how we feel, what we want, or how we perceive ourselves. You might be sitting there thinking it feels absolutely impossible to establish a healthy sense of confidence and self-respect. So if you're struggling with that, here are a few things that you can do so that you can start on this journey. First, affirmations. And I know, but hear me out. They feel silly. I get it, but they actually really work. They're powerful little suckers to help retrain your brain, which is precisely what you need to do. You have a limiting belief story in the back within your mind, and we have to work to rewrite that story. Affirmations can help you do that. Another thing is you want to start journaling, which you knew was coming, because that's something I'm always going to recommend. In fact, if I only had one tool to help me through anything and I couldn't afford a therapist, I would choose journaling over and over again. You get to know yourself, start rewriting your story, discover how you actually want to feel about things, work through solutions to find ways that allow you to exist in this world in a way that feels good and comfortable for you. Another thing you should do is to surround yourself with the right people. Everyone deserves to have the right people in your corner. And I believe that a good best friend is someone who's going to be there to remind you of the very best parts of yourself when you can't seem to remember what they are. The next thing you'll want to do is to set healthy boundaries. It's important to recognize exactly what it is that you are and aren't willing to do. A lot of times we find ourselves floating in this no man's land because we haven't done anything to establish any type of clear guidelines for ourselves. So first, let this serve as the permission that you need to do exactly that. You are allowed to identify your limits, to name what you are and aren't comfortable with, and to set those boundaries in place. If you're seriously struggling with the concept of boundaries and maybe you don't even know really where to start, I have a program linked down below. It's called 30 Days to Boundaries. It's only $1.99 and it is my most popular programs. Don't let the price fool you though. It is robust and it will change your life. Another thing you want to do to break the habit of people pleasing is to prioritize your needs. I know that this is easier said than done, especially if you are deep in the habit of putting everyone else before yourself. But something I've learned, like especially in this season of parenting a little, is that I show up as a better version of myself when my needs are getting met. I'm filled with a lot less resentment, and I'm able to and willing to show up more generously, more graciously, and just a better version of myself when I have what I need. I realize this sounds so incredibly basic, and it is, but it is also astonishing how deep we get into the hole of putting everyone else first, that we fully neglect ourselves, and then we wonder why we feel the way that we do. So again, if this is something that you're struggling with, let this serve as the permission you need to figure out what your needs are and establish a plan to ensure those needs are getting consistently met. There are so many layers to breaking this habit, but this is a good starting point. I want to leave you with the understanding that this is tough. I know it's tough, and it's something that's going to take practice, and it's going to take testing and changing. You'll probably be extremely uncomfortable at first. Making this shift is not comfortable, but remember, the habit of people pleasing isn't comfortable either. At least in this case, you're working towards finding a comfortable way to exist. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you guys so much for being here. Don't forget the 30 Days to Boundaries program is linked below. It's only $1.99 and it'll help you establish a lot of the framework that you need to overcome people pleasing and live a more intentionally joyful life. If you liked this video, please do all of the YouTube-y things down below. Like the video, subscribe, maybe leave a comment below and let me know what you want to see more of here on this channel. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Bye!